Hi there. This video is meant for every English teacher out there who's looking to up their game in the interviews, and especially for those early career professionals who have just begun to crack this nut of the academic world and who are already on their journey to polish their skills. So, since I did face an extensive amount of interview in schools from mediocre to well-established brands, I thought I would bequeath my experience here. So it would seem like a perfectionist approach, but trust me, there are no shortcuts when you are aiming for the success, right? So foremost thing that you want to do is to create a list. So by list, what do I mean? You create that preparation, that academic preparation that you want to go step by step when you are actually going to appear for the interview, okay? So if you do have 2-3 days left for your interview, you go step by step approach. But if you have the lesser time, you can adapt the scanning manner as well. It is important to note here that you cannot scan your list until or unless you have prepared it thoroughly in the past, okay? So I'll give you a live example of that. So I must have made that list years ago, okay, and I've written things to do before my interview. I've mentioned the date as well, 9 October to 12 October, okay. So first thing what I've written is go through your literature related notes of NET. So I had prepared for NET in the past. I had given multiple PhD examinations in different universities. So I do have all the literature related material available with me, okay. So what I used to do, I used to read all those notes from Indian literature to Sri Lankan to American to Canadian, everything. Doesn't matter if it is relevant or not, you do get a multitude of ideas when you are appearing for the interview, and it helps you a lot, trust me. Second thing, I've written that revise grammar and writing skills through PPTs. So since I have years of experience in teaching, I have already prepared my material on different concepts of grammar, writing skills as well as literature. So of course I go through that. Third, I have written that read National Education Policy 2020, very important. Of course, multiple schools, in fact every school which is affiliated to CBSE or not, they have given or delivered the workshops and seminars related to National Education Policy. But what I would recommend that you read it personally and thoroughly, so you get the whole idea of changing different things on different subjects. Okay, so you do get the grasp on National Education Policy. Next thing, that go through the syllabus. Okay, so if you have to be very clear in your mind what post you are applying for. Are you applying for a PRT or PGT or a PGT? So you have to be clear about this and understand that whatever the range you are teaching, the classes I'm talking about, you have to be very focused on the prescribed syllabus through CBSE and NCERT. And what are the supplementary readings related to it? You get that. Is it a communicative one that is being prescribed, or the other old NCERT, since different schools follow different kind of books, though all affiliated to CBSE and NCERT, that's same, but yeah, so you have to be prepared on both aspects, okay. Next thing what I've written is, okay, so since I do have this habit of preparing and making notebooks for different purposes. So I've written, if remain time, go through your podcast and digital consumption notebook. So if I am listening to a podcast, I'm just not listening, but if I find something significant, relevant and fascinating, I would immediately jot it down in my notebook, okay, and that I call the podcast notebook. And I've also made the digital consumption notebook, which is purely for my professional growth. So if I am consuming something digitally, it could be a workshop, a webinar, a seminar, or a series, whatever it is, I'll jot down my notes in my digital consumption notebooks. Okay? Then the thing is written here is AI notebook. So I do have an AI notebook as well, since all of you know that it is a core and essential element of the classrooms these days. You cannot go without the command on this subject of AI. Okay, you need to know what are the resources, what are the tools available for educators, and for different subjects of educators. You need to understand this part, okay, so that you could do well in your classroom, so that your classrooms could be very effective. Okay, last, I think I've written quotes here. So I have made this library of mine in my mind of at least 50-60 quotes that I have read in the past, and I still read them, of course, for my better pronunciation and better pace of speaking. So what I did initially is that, of course, made a separate notebook, but whenever I read a book or a novel and I find something very relevant, very mind-boggling, or anything related to that, whenever I find this sort of thing, I immediately write it down in my quotes notebook. And since I have already told you that I had prepared for exams related to literature only, you have this condition, this exam has a pattern like this, that you have to remember these major quotes from major writers from different periods. Okay, most of the people know about this fact, you know? So you get the idea from there as well. Okay, next thing that I find very relevant is your interviewer or your panel could ask you about your reading habits, your likes and dislikes in the context of literature. Since you are an English teacher, you should be and you are supposed to read multitude of books. Okay, you should have this library in your mind. So what you need to do is make a mind map of at least 4 or 5 of your favorites. Okay, and pick those books on which you can actually elaborate upon. Okay, don't pick up the random books that you have read. Maybe you have read the summaries, or you have heard from somewhere and you have just googled it and went through it just right before the interview. Don't do that, because it will reflect in your manner of speaking. Okay, so just pick those 4 or 5 books already in your mind, and remember the characters, remember the plot, and what you have learned from it. So if you have actually read the text, you will actually able to talk about it, very thoroughly, very practically. So don't worry about that. So do that, so that whenever an interviewer asks you a question, you immediately could answer. Okay, teaching practices and teaching pedagogies. Of course, it's the most significant thing. Okay, how you are going to conduct your class, how effective your class will be dependent on your methods, your strategies, your methodologies. How you create a classroom, how do you engage your students who are so smart, who are so technology oriented, right? So of course, your teaching practices and pedagogies have to be specific and have to be very clarified in your mind. Okay, last, though I think that it's not applicable everywhere, but sometimes people want to know how well equipped are you with the outer world. So they could ask you, what is your stand, what is your stance on geopolitical situations, or what's your take on the wars that are going around the world, and how do you pass this understanding of yours to your students, how do you create that sensitivity. Okay, no matter what subject teacher are you, especially if you are a literature teacher, you need to cultivate, you need to instill that sensitivity in your students, okay, so that they could empathize with society for their weaknesses and could do something about it, right? They could also ask you, how do you see yourself as a potential contributing factor? Since you are a teacher, how do you see yourself as a contributing factor to society? Okay, so when you do have the clear set of answers for these kinds of questions, I am sure that there are very high chances of you getting selected. So I think I've covered all the aspects that I faced during interviews, and that is all. All the best.